So, welcome to lesson 2 of our chapter here in this course entitled How to Survive an Apocalypse Through Gardening. So, in this lesson, we will be talking about the growing reservoir. So, what does a growing reservoir do? From my introduction up to the lesson before this, we have learned that the role of the growing reservoir is to function as the container of the nutrient water. So it is very important for us to have a growing reservoir that is that can really house water. This should not have holes. This should be even dark in color. And of course, it must tolerate heat. So why are those factors important in choosing a good reservoir? So first and foremost, your reservoir must be in the same size on how big or small you want your hydroponic system is. So if you are planning to have, a hydroponic systems over the table, so of course your growing reservoir should not be very, very big. But if you're planning to have a hydroponic system that will be located outside or will be located in a larger space, of course, you need to have a bigger reservoir. So in the passive deep water culture system, also in the Kratky system that we will be talking about and that you will be setting up for this course, the reservoir is actually much smaller. Here, we will be utilizing like a 12-liter bucket or even smaller than that. Some you can also use, recycled bottle that are 1.5 liters in capacity or even small water bottles. I will be showing you some of this stuff as we move forward. And of course, one of the other things aside from the size is the color of your water reservoir. First, it should not be very, very light in color. It should not be transparent because sunlight can penetrate inside that system. And what happens if you have stagnant water and if you have sunlight? There will be growth of algae. So we do not want that in our hydroponic system, mainly because these algae could go into the roots and block your plant root in absorbing water and nutrients from your nutrient solution. So of course, we need to have perhaps a darker color of reservoir that is made up of an insulator or a material that do not absorb or conduct heat. Yeah, so plastic buckets are fine. Most of the hydroponic systems that are sold online are made up of food grade buckets. So you can also make use of that. And of course, uh, if you want to like put the element of color, you can do other colors except, for a transparent one or a white one because they will be more prone to growth of algae. Another that you need to control is the heat. So it is also very important for your water that is in the reservoir to have a not too hot and not too cold. So where will that lead us? So it will lead us even insulating our hydroponic reservoir. In some cases, some are putting, the insulators around their reservoir to make sure that the heat is not being conducted or that the heat is not being absorbed by the water. Because what will happen if we have heat in our growing reservoir? The thing that will happen is that that is a breeding ground for microorganisms. This bacteria can further infest your plants, and we do not want that. All right. So here are some of the things that I have experienced back then that you can actually turn into a growing reservoir or a hydroponic reservoir. First, you can make use of water bottles. Next is that you can also turn pails into a hydroponic reservoir. Just make sure that you will also have like a cover for it because that will hold your net pot, which we will discuss on the next chapter. So again, in the growing reservoir, it is very important to have a growing reservoir that is sufficient in size, that has a color that will not let light to penetrate inside. So we need to make use of darker colors. And of course, it is very also important to insulate to control the water temperature inside the growing reservoir. So you can also turn things into a growing reservoir like bottles and of course the pails that you have in your own home. So let that creativity run into your veins right now and think of the possible household items or household materials that you can turn into a hydroponic reservoir. So that's it for this lesson. See you in the next lesson.